2009 Nissan Titan, and I guess you could tell what's wrong with it. Sorry about the jiggly camera. So I had to tape it. I learned not to tape it when the other side went bad. I taped it on the inside and it messed up my tent. So I was just more careful about taping it to the outside, but it took a lot of tape, and in the heat it's still coming down. So we're gonna figure out how to take that off. I can't even remember, and I didn't videotape the other side. I'm not sure why. So I see one little place to get some stuff out there. I don't even know how to get anything apart. Don't want to mess it up. That would stink. So I'm going to take this video so you don't mess up yours. All right, the assembly. I don't know if these part numbers don't make any sense. Just go on eBay, order them. This was 33 bucks plus some tax, free shipping. So that's basically what you got. And 33 bucks, cheap plastic. So who knows how long it's going to last. Looks like it's got 5 bolts or so. So for 30 bucks, get what you get. It'll work again for a few years. So let me figure out what to do. For sure, first thing you gotta do is carefully put a screwdriver deep down in there. First time I missed and scratched it right across that plastic. So you gotta shove that in that little hole deep and then pry up. I've already done that. So as we can see now, there's a little release tab. So you gotta get to that release tab. That's why you gotta push it in there deep. That side already looks broke. So try not to lose your parts. I'm gonna take that off and get your little kit from AutoZone. Do a plug for AutoZone. These are like 20 bucks, my favorite kit. They have pretty much almost every size you need on here for most work. 80-90% of the jobs I do, everything in that toolbox. Okay. All right, I could kind of tell that this was loose, and I was kind of figuring how to get it off. So if you stick your finger right up in there, you can just pull this whole plastic piece out. Oh, and look, there's another screw. Same size, I think it's 10 millimeter. Let's get in there and take that off. The other thing I'm kind of thinking of is what is holding. Now that whole panel's loose. So that's maybe all there is to this panel. I think it just picks up or something. Let me see if there's another screw down here. Oh, here's another access plate. I have no idea what that is for. Nothing. No screws. No pieces. Sure looks like that is separate, but sure would hate to bust that. Like you could get to your speaker. Like that's a separate piece. So let me pull on that a little bit, see if I can figure it out. All right, next thing that I found. Gotta get your screwdriver up underneath there. That's pretty hard to get off. Almost afraid you're gonna break it. But just pry gentle, pry all around it. That'll come off. And then there's 2 more screws in there. Next thing I realized I needed was a magnetic screwdriver to fish those out of there. You can't get your finger up in there. So magnetic screwdriver, number 10 with the long, so you can get up in there. Don't have to be that long, but that's what's nice about that toolkit, because you got different sizes. So it seems like it's pretty loose. Let me see what else I gotta do. All right, now this is a tricky part because there's a screw under here. So you're gonna have to jam this tool up under there. I got this side loose and I got some scratches on there. I got that one loose, and this one was hard as heck to pop out. And there's the other screw. So if you don't take that screw out, you ain't ever gonna be able to pull this panel out. So I kind of did them out of order, but it was stuck. So I saw I could I could see up underneath. I could see up underneath there that the clips was there. So let me take that screw out. It should just come out from there. All right, next thing you gotta do is pry this panel loose from the door. And I was kind of uncomfortable, so I found this thing and jammed it up under there so it would give me something wide to pull on. So I ended up popping loose. I'm a little uncomfortable pulling on that like that, but now I got need to put my camera down so I have two hands, because that's the thing, sliding this around to where those clips are. You don't know where the clips are, so you just want to put that in there like this. This one's still stuck, so just slide that up in there. There you go. If you just use a flat screwdriver, you're gonna tear some panels, so you need like a panel tool. That's the closest thing I could find to a panel tool. So I think I got one more up in here. Wish I could have two hands. Need two hands, can't do it with one. Okay, now we got to figure out how to get those two cables loose and two connections. Speakers attached to the door, two connections, that connection. Alright, super hard to do with two hands, but basically that little groove right there is stuck in that plastic, so once you toggle that out, it gives you a little more room, and then you can put that in there. But you're gonna have to remember how to put that back together when you, so now it gives you more room. Let's do the other one. I'm gonna toggle that out, just clipped in there, and then again that one had a little different connector. All right, so that's your two door cables. If your door cables ever break, you got to go in after those. So now I still got two connectors. One is a push thumb deal right there, easy enough. I've already struggled with this one, can't figure it out. There is a tab that is not releasing. Uh-oh, that's not good. Let me get two hands on it. Okay, for some reason there was a couple tabs here. Hope those didn't get broke. I don't see how to even remove this still. Gotta be a way for that to come out, but mine didn't come out that way. Looks like there's some side clips. I don't know, I guess not. Don't even mess with that. The other thing that's falling apart was the speaker grill foam. So basically those tabs released off the side. Looks like there's a tab here, but that didn't want to come out, and that was my problem. So it looks like the switch all stayed together, so we'll just let it be. Now the one thing I hate is that don't look very reusable. So now what are we gonna do when we tear that up to get the dumb piece? Oh, look at that. They put plastic speakers in there. So pretty. Usually they put cardboard rots. The plastic is a better deal. All right, well, damn. I shouldn't have said that. Frustrated. I don't know what to do about getting past that, about ruining it, because a lot of these cars put reusable sticky, and I have some reusable sticky, but I'll have to go get it. Golly, that's like, it's kind of, I don't know if it's reusable or not. It's pretty sticky. The other thing I just noticed is 4 bolts there, and those 4 bolts are right there. 1, 2, 3. So we got those to undo and those to undo. So there is the plug, I believe, for the window. There we go. So that's that plug. And I'll just keep removing this. Man, let me get my razor blade, cut that more out of the way. Okay, somebody's been in here before, because this silver bolt should theoretically be over there. So we got gold and silver. So vice versa, somebody didn't put them back right. So we'll make sure we put the gold one over there, just keep them uniform. So we're gonna undo all these. Definitely undo that one. I'm thinking I should roll the window down. So once you roll the window down in there, you're not going to be able to get the motor out, which is going to be weird. You're going to have to like roll it down, unscrew the screws, pick the window back up to get the motor out of this hole. So we'll see how we can do that. Okay, two things here. This little tab, a little tab to release that to pull out of there. And you got to stick a screwdriver right there to release this and pull it forward. So now the motor, see, you can put the screws in there to hold that and then slide them down in there and then put that before getting it out. So now I'm going to undo these, see what comes loose, and then we'll figure out about lowering it. I want to undo these first. Might be a mistake. Also looks like you put your screw in there so you can hang it on the rack. So I'm going to unloosen the screw, but I'm not going to take it out, so you can try to move it over and out. There's just nothing good to hold a window up with. Look at this duct tape, it's all come off. So I either need to scratch some of it off of it now, but I'm trying to hold this up there with one thumb. It's just sliding down in there, so I'm just going to let it slide down in there and suffer the consequences later. Well, I guess I could hold it by that. Okay, so that's that. No, stop. Right there. That's where those are going to have to come down so you can undo those screws. Once you undo those screws, the whole motor is falling. I'm holding this up with my hand. So now I'm going to continue to hold that up with my hand and try to fish that motor out with it. Oh, still got that screw kind of logged in there. So hopefully just move that around and pull that motor out. Luckily these windows don't weigh 1,000 pounds like the old cars. The electrical was in that hole, which was right there, that little tab, and you can see this whole thing just in pieces. I'm gonna have to fish that one screw out of there, put a different screw in there while I'm doing that. And I also think, well, see, some of those are threaded and some of them are squared, so I need to figure out which is which. I don't want to mess them up. This window's getting heavy with one hand. Okay, that's not real safe, but I stuck a hammer in there, hold that up. So don't stick your hand up in there unless you're actually holding it, making sure that thing don't just come down and karate chop your hand up in there. So now I didn't pay enough attention of what went where. Hey, yay! I think it goes in there. It's preset. Be in there just like that. That's how it was, I believe, in there. So we're just gonna reverse repeat. Again, I can't do it with one hand. This came out like that. So let me use two hands. Ain't no way I'm gonna do that with one. I'll say I can't, but can I? There you go. Look at that. Get that in there. And there I go. I get sticking my hand in there and don't get it karate chopped. Okay, well, it's in there. I'm definitely going to need that screw in that hole. So maybe I'll take that back out so I can lock that in there. And I'm going to put 2 screws in the motor so I can fish that over into there. So I'm going to take that back out, drop the camera, and put it back in there with the screws, 3 screws attached, so I can get the party started. All right, I said I was gonna move these screws around, but this is the way they were in there. So I'm gonna just do what they're doing. So I put those in there to hang them, just like the way it came out, and I'm going to hang this up in there. So that's what I'm going to do, hang these in there, and then put the window back down and put this in there and start snugging everything up. Okay, that worked out real nice. Get a nice place to, actually I held this up with one hand to make sure the window didn't fall down. I just stuck my arm up in there and hooked that into those things, and then that was laying down and just picked it up and hooked it into there. So I'm going to snug these up a little bit, just snug, and then I can see that that window's got to come down and go into that. So that's what we'll do next. Oh, I'm going to fish that electrical cord. I don't know what happened to that electrical cord, so I'm going to hold that up with one hand and fish that electrical cord, so make sure it's not pinched. Make sure it's not pinched under the motor or something silly. Okay, I tried to put the window down, but that was a failed attempt because this wasn't over. It wouldn't line up. So I actually put this one in there already. I'm going to go ahead and tighten all these up. I'm going to push that over into place and put that in there because that wasn't allowing it to line up. So just go ahead and tighten all these bolts back up. All right, all this seems to be going well, but this one is not squaring up. So I need to put my hand in there and push that forward and do this hand. I got this board, I don't really trust it, so I'm gonna have to make sure I got my hand up in there, so if that falls down, I'll be able to pick it back up with this hand if it falls down on my arm. So I'm gonna just try to gently get in there. Don't recommend that. Have a second person hold it for you. Don't be sticking your hand up in there. This isn't real sharp, and it's not gonna fall real hard, and the window is not heavy, so I'm not really worried about it just chopping my hand off, so I'll be fine. Well, that's the thing with aftermarket. I know that's hard to see, but that's off spec a little bit. I can't push that over, so I think I'm going to take that one out, screw that one in, and then try to jam that one in. We'll see, because right now I cannot get that in at all. Okay, that metal in there is a little bit flexy, so I was able just to put that one in there and kind of bend it and leave it spaced out to get the bolt started. And that's been the hardest part of this thing so far. And I also noticed that these gold ones have a larger head surface for these pivotal openings, and these are a little bit smaller, so I think that's the way it probably came from the factory. So now I can lower that down, put that together. This thing is too large for that hole, so I'm going to take the razor blade, try to skim some of that off, so that'll go through there. Now, I thought this was binding up, but this window, the blue part, actually sitting on that motor thing with the lip. The other thing that I saw is that these holes aren't, can't really see it in there, but they're not lining up. Definitely that one's not lining up, so you're gonna have to jiggle the window around a little bit because they're not quite right. Hopefully that won't affect, hopefully it's just because it's loose up there. So let me wiggle these around, screw them in there. Now I don't have to worry about anything holding it up because that's holding it up. Okay, here's where I think you'd want to test it. I got those screwed down. That would stink to break that plastic piece, and it's just going through that plastic. That was not very good. So basically, go turn the power on, make sure it works. That's for the door lock. So let me go turn the power on, make sure it's doing its business before we put it all back together. Well, this was way harder than I wanted it to be. It's definitely working. That's tight. So need to scrape off all the goo off of it. Nice tight seal. Seems to be working good. Let me get the glue off of there, and then I'll finish putting it back together. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and put it back together now, and then worry about getting the glue off. Okay, from here, I'm just going to put the sticky stuff back. It's still nice and sticky. Put that through the holes, put that through the little pad, wherever it came from. I don't know where that came from. Out the end, that went through this hole there. This just went through the top. And then we'll figure out if I run across anything else that needs to be addressed. I'll let you know, but I doubt it. All the sticky stuff went back about the way it was. Good enough. So I'll try to clip all this stuff back together. Then you got to pick it up, jam it down, and then pop all these back in the hole. That's going to be tough. And I have 2 of them right here that fell out. So I got, well, 1 of them. So I'm doing that next. These things just kind of slide in there sideways. This one's broke. Got one over there on the back, so that's probably more important to keep. It's kind of weird that one has a different type of grippy, but as a challenge to pop all those back there in place, but we'll try it. All right, I did everything from this view, basically holding the door, one hand, kind of holding it up with my knee. I started with this cable. I started with that one, popped it into that little nugget. This one keeps falling out because it's too far away. And I've got this one and this one, so I'm gonna have to make sure that goes in there. The ball's got to go down, and that's not staying popped in place. So I'm gonna have to look at that and make sure it's ready to go. Okay, I made sure that thing was connected in there before I popped it back in there from the side. Just let that down on there a little bit, and then you didn't have to beat these on here like the old cars. They just kind of snapped in there real easy. So now I'm gonna go test this again before I put all these screws together. It's taking a lot longer. I turned it back on, made sure all that worked. It worked here, it worked over there. This is manual here, power locks work. Sounds like that's working, so that cable's still connected. So I'm gonna put the screws on and batten this up. I'll be done. All right, I got some bad news. I'll put these screws in and started looking around. I'm missing 2 screws. So what happened was I put 2 of these screws in that window piece. So now I don't have 2 screws, and they're in the bottom of this. They'd be rattling around. So now I'm gonna have to take this off, get my hand down in there and get those 2 screws out and put them here, and not, I've already screwed them into that window, so it's too late. They're different threads, so those are just gonna have to live there. So let me take these screws out, pop this panel off, and dig down in there. I messed up. Those were supposed to go in that plastic bracket to hold the window. So those were totally different types of screws, and they didn't strip out. So there ain't no going back, and you just leave them in there, move on to these. So I got that one in there. It seems to work just fine, seems to grab it fine. It's not stripping out either. In fact, it's pulling into the plastic. So you just have to live with those 2 screws that are wrong. Sometimes it's better not to go back and fix something, because there's different threads in that plastic now that you probably couldn't put those back in there. It's probably got them stripped out. So hopefully that won't give us any problem down the road. If it does, then we'll worry about that later, but I think it'll be fine. Well, that short screw wouldn't fit in there. It needed the longer thread screw, so I had to put it right there. I took that one out, moved it over there. So took a lot of tools. Basically these, not a lot. Did not take a lot of tools. Basically needed that, razor blade, door panel remover. And now all I gotta do is clean up the window. But there we go, 30 bucks, and I'll bet this took 2 hours. I don't have a thing to look at my clock, but just don't make the mistake I did. The screws that fell down in the door panel, I had to dig them out. So don't make that mistake. Dig them out, put them back where they're supposed to be. Okay, I'm kind of a perfectionist. I like to do things to the best of my ability, but when I had to pull this panel off and stick my arm down there when I was cleaning up my tools, look what I found on the ground. So one of these is missing, but I'm not going back in there. This had plenty of clips. Man, that this kind of things drive me crazy. I want to take this apart to put the clip back in, but I'm not going to do it. So next thing I'm going to do, I got some goof off and some brake parts cleaner. We're going to see which one works. This is some brake clean on the window. This is some goof off. I was kind of thinking I'd put the goof off on the paint up there instead of the sealer. Well, the brake clean worked pretty doggone good for its spot. The goof off, ooh, works really good too, but it's kind of oily. And to tell you the truth, I took a razor blade to this first to get it off. So looks like the brake clean worked pretty good in the spot that it touched. This is all gooey, so let's let this sit on these spots. Goof off to the rescue. Goof off, the ultimate remover. So maybe we'll take our finger, kind of get that going in there. Use our fingernail. We got them for free, a tool for free. That's already evaporating off of there in the sunshine. That looks like that's coming off pretty good. What you need is one of those plastic razor blades. That just sounds like somebody scratching on a chalkboard. Probably hit that one more time. Let's wipe this off before it all evaporates. Still not quite getting it off. The goof off is doing a good job. Can't complain. Definitely didn't do a good job there, and it dried too fast. Dried too fast. Sunshine's coming out, so maybe not do that in the sunshine. Let's try to do it when it's wet. Oh yeah, look at that. Doing it while it's wet. Got some right there. I've always kind of hated these little covers. Oh yeah, it's cleaning that window real good. It's kind of smearing around, and when it dries, it kind of smears that stuff around. I'm gonna hit it one more time. Wipe it while it's wet. Goof off is winning the prize today for what I want to do here. That's some stuff the old lady had for some project. Still got some in that spot. Well, I'm liking that.